are you spiritual? Like, do you raise your kids in a church? Where are you at spiritually now?
Well, I raised my kids in a home.
That's the best.
I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm a religiousist. I'm prejudiced against religion because I have experienced and seen enough of the abuse of power and the control and manipulation that I'm like, I don't need to play that. I can be spiritual. I can be positively energetic without having to go to a church and follow their guidelines. And I've heard people be like, it's refreshing. It's like taking a drink of water after you're thirsty or whatever. And I'm like, I get that after I go out and weed my garden, okay?
Yeah, some people may have this great rejuvenation going to church, but sometimes I get that, like where you're sitting down, and sometimes I get anxiety because if the leader or whatever, not leader, what do they call them? Prophet, whatever, the guy pastor, if
prophet,
the pastor
like,
says
bishop,
something
whatever,
or quotes a Bible quote that they quoted in the order, I will have PTSD and I'll have to walk out because I'm like, now everything you say is just going to make me question you.
Well, everything, because you're instantly triggered back to that place, and you know dang well you need to question everything.
Yeah.
Like, once you're triggered back to that, you know you need to question. You know you need to be skeptical.
And, like, I do enjoy going to church to kind of research. Not to be like, I'm a part of this, but to like, I love people watching. I loved my psychology class and my sociology class, so I like to look at it as kind of a observation. Yeah. Rather than, I'm all about this. And sometimes I do feel like a good energy from the people there, but other times I get PTSD. Yeah. So you don't go to church, but you are spiritually open. Yes. We don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but do you believe in an afterlife and the soul goes beyond? It's so much.
I believe in beyond.
I do too.
I believe in many lives. I believe in a life continuing. Like,
I always refer back to Einstein's quote of energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it is just transferred. So whether we turn into a flower after this life.
And that's actually, like, if I was to have any sort of religion, it would be like Mother Earth, life and growth and energy. Energy. I'm a total energy believer. Yeah. I feel energies. Definitely. And they're lovely.
Lovely.
Usually.
If you can open yourself up to them. There's been times where it's so hard for me because I have to put this wall up. Yeah. And I can't connect to anybody because I'm protecting myself. But when it's open, it's great. This is, going back to the wedding stuff, but people kept asking. They said, could girls say, let's see, did you get to choose your wedding dress and bridesmaids' dresses?
Oh, yeah.
They really wanted
mine was strapless.
Yeah, people were wondering.
The tube top part. Okay, yeah, so that was me being rebellious. Usually they do have straps. Like, that's like, I'm so challenging and I'm so spirited that especially because I was 18 when I was getting married, my parents and everybody else knew dang well they wasn't going to be able to manipulate it.
You're an adult.
Exactly. I was going to choose the dress I wanted. I don't know. It was kind of funny and stupid, the whole situation, because I intentionally got a dress that didn't even fit me because I was like, oh, I'll gain weight. No.
And that was a little
So it's too big.
It's cute. And she did pick, and usually the girl picks the line dresses. Yeah. And then they're kind of seamed and made to be, they made sure that our sleeves are a little bit longer, I remember.
Okay, yeah. Usually a seamstress will make the line dresses unless the bride, has enough time to go out. Most of the time they don't have enough time because you're not supposed to have a long engagement. And most places will require 5 to 6 weeks of to ship. Right. Yeah, and they're like, oh, that's too long. You need to get it in 2 weeks.
6-month engagements is frowned upon. Like, Cammie was engaged for 6 months, and they were like, why are you waiting so long?
I don't even know how that happened. That, I thought that was impossible. I was trying for 3, and I could get only 2.
So this is a good question. I laughed so hard when I saw this. It said, so do you end up going to 3 weddings a week if you're in the order? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes joined weddings where there's 2 people getting married to the same, not the same guy, but sisters getting married to different guys just to
Yeah, see, it also depends on who you are. The closer to the inner circle you are, the more you'll go to.
Right. You might go to the secret weddings where the
girls most of them, a lot of the plural marriages are secret weddings where only specific people are invited.
And they only make a certain amount of engagements because it's here's an engagement picture of the girl that's marrying a guy who's already married, right?
Yeah, the engagements are also the invitations for the wedding, by the way. Wedding reception, whatever. The stupid thing is when I was doing that, we would actually when I was getting married and some of the other people around my age they were trying to be more careful about exposing the fact that cousins were marrying cousins. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them just didn't put the time for the wedding, and it was just like hearsay. They just passed it on. Really? So that the invitations had, this is the day we're getting married, and
you can just
you're welcome to, and you're invited to the reception. And then there was a little tiny card that said, "This is where the wedding's happening."
Okay.
And it didn't. It said the day, but it didn't say the time.
I wonder if they've ever gotten in. I've never heard of anyone getting in trouble except for like way back in the day. So I don't know.
For what? Getting married?
For incest.
Oh.
I've never heard of.
No, they did a plea bargain and paid millions of dollars.
When?
It was something with. It was Ortel was the leader
at the time. Okay, so years ago.
Yeah. So I wasn't here. It was just
Yeah, that's why a lot of you have been asking, like, how come this is still going on in Utah? They have friends in high places. They've
been paying them off for years.
Oh, yeah.
Guys. Generations, years.
I showed you guys the link where Paul had gold in his basement. Like, do you know how much money he has? And this was just the one location of the one little tiny amount of gold that he had at the time. There's he has money everywhere. And he makes sure that his name's not on anything, so there's no paper trail.
Exactly.
So he's smart about it. He went to business school. He went to psychology classes as well to be manipulative. Like, it's so obvious now that I've been out to see that he's built up the person that he is to be so charismatic and to be controlling. But this is a good question. Could girls say they haven't gotten direction to get out of a marriage?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's both. Yep.
Because with mine, like I was telling you guys, I think in an earlier video, they wanted me to marry my first cousin. And I told my dad I didn't have direction on him. I didn't want to marry him. He was my cousin, and he believed in polygamy. All the signs, like, I didn't want to marry him. They still made me go on the little coming forward date. And then they allowed him to dance with me twice. So you're only allowed to dance once unless you have permission to dance more than once. And he would just dance with me over and over, even though I told him I didn't want to marry him. I didn't have direction.
And my mom had more respect for me than that, and Daniel had less control over me than that. I was able to go onto the date, be asked and everything, and I was also able to respond in a manner like, I haven't had anything yet, but if I do, I'll let you know. So, like, it's not a yes, it's not a no, it's happened. But then I've also had been in a situation where Daniel's pushing, like, people are coming forward on Shanell. Shanell needs to talk to them. Shanell needs to talk to them. But see, he's such a tool. He doesn't know how to talk to me himself, and he didn't care to, that he was using my mom. So then he would relay the message onto my mom, and my mom had enough respect for me that her and I could actually communicate about it, and I could explain to her where my feelings were and how I didn't want to speak to people or and why I didn't. And
so because you had a good relationship with your mom, she didn't force you to do any of that.
Yes. And actually there was I told you about it the last time. There was still times when Daniel, like, instead of having the parents' permission, they just went with Daniel's approval and say so, because for one, he didn't really care about my mom's opinion or choices, and also he knew she would give me the choice and, like, give me a say, and I could say no, I don't want to talk to them. And he didn't like that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say no even if they're married. Like, I got in trouble for saying no to married men at the dances. Like, you're supposed to, even if they're married, even if you don't want to. And
like when they ask you to dance?
Yeah, I didn't understand why. Even when the men knew, like, Cami had this married guy that kept asking her, and she said no because his wife didn't want him to.
Yeah.
And he tattletailed on Cami, so Cami would have to dance with him. It's like, why would you want someone who doesn't even like you to dance with you?
See, and that's another different thing, because Daniel was not actually involved in, like, our day-to-day life and how we operated.
Because he had so many wives.
So he would say that. He would say, you can't say no, you can't say no. But then my mom's over here coming from the Hanson family,
and
you know,
like, you could say
and
no.
They're like, no, you have a choice. Like,
awesome.
That's why it's a question. That's why they're asking, do you want to dance? Because you do have that choice. You can say no. Obviously, I also got in trouble for saying no.
Right.
But so, I knew I could say it.
I guess, long story short with that, it depends on the family you're in, but, like, 90% of the time, you can't get out of a marriage by saying you didn't have direction. Like,
yeah.
I know so many women who told me that they didn't want to marry the guy, and then guess what? They have 5 kids with them right now.
Exactly. How challenging and submissive you are also plays a role. I actually I have an older sister who she did that. She was like, no, I don't want to marry him. I haven't had direction on him. And Diana was like, well, make it the list. Make sure he's at the top of the list. And every so often, they'd remove a guy from the list or whatever. And the whole time, Diana was like, this is who you're marrying. This is who you're marrying. And the whole time, she's like, I don't want to marry him. I haven't had direction on him. This is who I want to marry. This is who I think I'm supposed to marry. And he's like, nope, you're marrying him. You're marrying him. And so inevitably, it got down to where she married who Diana told her to marry.
That's so sad.
Oh, there was a lot of beatings in there, too. He did beat her.
They break you down to make you think. Because here, one girl said, it was the one that married, she was like, you know, all of my friends said I do at the altar, so you can't say that they didn't have a choice. And it's like, just because they said I do doesn't mean there was not beatings that led up to that, not people threatening things with them. Like,
exactly.
That doesn't mean it was their choice.
Exactly.
And half of them are underage. So what are you saying?
Half of them said it.
More than half. More than half.
Right.
Just the lucky ones can make it to 18 and still, jeez. Okay,
I was lucky.
This is one of the last ones. Lindsay Bowake. I'm so fascinated with alternate belief systems in general, but you guys have been so interesting to learn about. So in the order, are teenage girls allowed to come and go, or do they keep tabs on you? Do you have curfews, and can you hang out with other family members of the opposite sex? Is it frowned upon? Okay, there's a lot of questions in that. But I think, again, it does depend on the family. But for the majority, you can't really hang out with the opposite sex unless it's your own full brother. And they do keep tabs on the women more than the men, especially in my family. They were watching where I was going. They would check on me in my room all the time. But I was also like, I had a track record of sneaking out. It's
frowned upon. You're not supposed to be associating with the members of the opposite sex unless you're at a dance on the dance floor where everyone can see you.
Exactly. And that's not considered pairing off because you're out in public. But once you set foot outside of that Damon Palmer or outside of the dance floor with a guy, like within minutes, people will be out there watching you, making sure you're not breaking order standards.
Yep, you can't. No phone calls. No writing
That's why I was
letters.
allowed to have a phone.
Holding hands was like.
Oh yeah, you would have a meeting with Paul.
I didn't hold anybody's hand. I was engaged.
Really?
To your brother.
Good job.
Well, I mean, I'm spirited and challenging, but I actually wasn't a horrible girl. You know, I was a good girl,
which is so weird because your family had such a bad reputation, but it was because you questioned.
Heck, it might have been me. Like, I might be the reason people don't like the Snows. I don't know.
Yeah, they do judge based off of the older siblings, especially like seeing when I left and Cammy left and Rachel and Eskel, then it really makes the rest of the family look bad.
Yeah.
But I guess this was the last question. I didn't see it. Does anyone use the Bible in the order? Which is a good question because it's like, it kind of sounds like they don't, huh? It kind of sounds like they just do whatever they want. But what I noticed was they definitely use the Book of Mormon way more. And then they cherry picked from the Bible what they wanted. But like when they would do like Bible studies, it was usually the Book of Mormon. And I thought when I left, the Book of Mormon was the Bible. So anyone who's Christian knew who Joseph Smith was.
Yeah, see,
I was so wrong.
I didn't think it was, but I thought it was, like, especially because they have the quad, you know, you can get it in the same book. I thought it was in the same book. Like, I was like, what do you mean, you know, you don't know the Book of Mormon, but you know the Bible, blah, blah.
Because I think they did that on purpose. They give us all this quad that has all of them in so that you really think that it's all this. Well, because in their mind, it is all the same.
But they definitely want you to believe it.
But do you remember them talking about Christ? I really don't. I honestly, they talked more about order history and Joseph Smith than they ever talked about Christ.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I can tell you tons of story about Charles and Eldon and LaDonna and even Corinne Gustavson, like all of the numbered men and their wives before. But can I tell you much about the atonement? When I first left, I didn't really know much about the atonement.
I didn't learn anything about the Revelation till after I left, and I was like, wait, there's this whole book? Like, wait, what? This is the second coming? What?
Yeah.
They told me this dude saw him in a mountain. I thought he already came.
Yeah. When he gave the keys, right, to Charles or whatever.
Yeah, it was crap.
But, yeah, so I had to relearn. I had to break down and relearn. I went through this point where I was like, am I atheist now? Because, like, I feel like I've been lied to my whole life. So I don't want anyone to lie to me anymore. And then I got really depressed.
Yeah. They do use the Bible, but Amanda's right. Like they pick and choose. And my mom also was told, because there's a part in the Bible where it mentions that the wife, like it's about marriage, and that the husband, or the husband leaves his father and mother and joins and goes to his wife. Cleaves unto his wife. Yeah, cleaves unto his wife, and they two become one. And my mom, like, had mentioned that about how, like, there's no oneness here, and you're still going to your mom and your dad instead of coming to me, instead of being partnership, instead of being this husband-wife that the Bible says. And he's like, well, that part doesn't pertain to us. Yeah.
And they would say, so when I showed my dad, there was this part in the Bible that talked about concubines, they should have none, right? Like, we should cleave unto your wife, and concubines, you should have none. And they said, oh, man, some men have changed the Bible. Like, they would use that and say that these things that we don't like, someone wrote them in, and we should just write them off.
And then they polygamize it and be like, oh, it's not concubines, they're wives. We're married.
It's so weird, too, because... So I laughed so hard when if one of you guys said this. They're like, isn't it funny that you guys are all based on polygamy? And one of the 10 commandments is, thou shalt not commit adultery. I was like, that is true. But see, I can go on. They're so confused.
And anything and everything, there's a way, words or a route or some way to manipulate it to make someone think, okay, I guess that makes sense, at least right over here.
Right. And there's so many, like, think about it. Being a cult leader is like one of the most profitable things. And that's why there's so many cults out there, and it's so easy to manipulate people when you're using God, because you're willing to do anything for your afterlife, right? For your what is that called? Your
salvation.
Salvation, right. So, off of that topic, because I'm going to just go on and on and on. This is my last question for you is, now that you're out, you've been out 11 years, what are some things that are your hobbies and things that bring you peace and happiness that you do now?
Oh, man.
I'm kind of trying to take notes because I need help.
Okay, so, of course, one thing, because I have PTSD and anxiety and depression and triggers all over the place, one major thing that seems so simple, and you've heard it before, is breathing, meditative breathing, because I put intention and focus and be like, okay, I'm breathing in strength and light, life and love, and I can either breathe out anything negative, or I can use that, like, exhale to imagine, like, connecting to the earth and everything, so, like, becoming centered, centered and grounded, but, like, and then, I like yoga. It's been a while. I need to do some more yoga. But
I love yoga.
Yeah. But
obviously
the plants. Actually, the plants are huge thing for me. Like, I have moments where I'm like, you know what? I'm having a hard day. I need to go to the plant nursery and look around, see what they got, maybe come home with another plant or a new pot.
I can see that. We walked through her nursery. I'm going to show some clips of that. Just walking through the garden and seeing all the plants, it really is uplifting. I don't know if it's that there's things that are alive around you, or it's just pretty. I don't know.
It's the whole energy. It's that life and growth and...
We're all growing.
But and we're all connected. We're all connected.
I still have my aloes that you gave me.
Oh, good.
I named one Olaf.
Yeah, Olaf. That's cute. This is one of my favorites right now, because not only have I figured out how to keep it alive and doing well, I figured out how to propagate it from cuttings so that I can
make more.
Yeah, make more and share with people. And it's like, that's one of my favorites. And
do you think eventually you'll have your own nursery? I mean, you have enough plants.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have my own nursery. It's just, is it going to be is it going to be a business?
That's what I was saying. Like,
I don't know.
You have enough to where you could, like, sell the, like, roots for people to grow in their house.
I mean, possibilities are endless. It really just depends. If I wanted to do that, I could. Oh, by the way,
I was going to say, this is new. That's the first thing I noticed when I came over here. You got it last month?
Yeah, about a month ago.
How many do you have now?
Actually, a little more than a month ago. I only have the 3. I just have...
So you have the Aquarius
the first one, yeah. And then my aim, love.
That's so cute. And then this one. They're all colorful.
Yeah, exactly, because I like spirit and color and
it's
excitement.
Gorgeous. Do you want to talk about the definition of this one?
Oh yeah, okay. So anybody, can you tell that these are the eyes of Horus? You know, Thoth and Ra. The eyes of Horus. It's also connected to your third eye, the pineal gland, senses, sight, sound, smell, touch. Yes. So it's like, and then also the eyes connected, like, you know, the eyes and the body together make the Ankh, the symbol of life. And so for me, this is a reminder, like, this is also a reminder that my love is a reminder of how I want to live life. But this is also a big, huge reminder of how I want to live life, because I want to live it sightful and knowledgeable and aware, but growing and like the butterfly, changing and evolving. And
I love that. It's a cute idea.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's most everything. We covered it all. Is there anything else you wanted to add? I know last time I asked you what you would tell someone from the order.
Don't rely on somebody else's promises or predictions to be happy. Or, yeah, exactly. And you're fully capable of directing your future. Like, you really are. You don't have to follow somebody else's guidelines.
Right.
You need to follow your own. Listen to your instincts and your truth and your own gut, and
you'll be happy that way.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're sitting there thinking you can ride on someone else's faith, you're going to realize in the long run that you can't, and you won't be satisfied with your like spirituality. Anyways, I always like to end it on a message to the order members who are watching, because at the end of the day, we're not out here to hurt you guys. We want you guys to be happy, just like every human being deserves to be happy. And we're just sharing our truths. And if you get something from it, great. Anyways, I'm going to link your Instagram, your Twitter, just like I did in my last ones. And if you guys have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments down below, or you can even go to, are you okay with them going to your Instagram and asking you? Or would you rather them here? Okay. Go to her Instagram. I'll link it down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!